overview for day 36 through 42. So day 36 was my birthday, and hiked into near Hiker Town. So I think I did about 18 miles to get there. And the morning was really nice weather, a little cold, but it wasn't like raining. But there was an advisory for later that evening, so I decided to just go in and try to get like a hot shower and have something good to eat. So hiked in there, and I was with a couple of friends by the end of it, and we had the trail leads right to a place called Hiker Town, where it crosses the road. And so my friends and I were pretty sure we weren't going to go into Hiker Town because we didn't hear great things about it. I mean, some people say great things about it, but most of what we were hearing from hikers was don't go there. So we get to the road and had kind of a weird experience. So a man in like a red Prius was parked on the side of the road where the trail led out, and he like backed up and honked. And so we're like, oh cool, maybe we can he's offering a hitch into Weeville, because that's where we want to go. And he gets out of the car, or he like sticks his head out and says like, we're having a barbecue later on at Hiker Town, you should come over now. We also have donuts and coffee right now. And blah, blah, blah. He was being very like persistent, trying to get us to go right away, go over to Hiker Town, which was across the street. And so we were kind of like unsure, but one of our members wanted to stay there for the night. So we're like, okay, we'll just go check it out. So he's like, okay, I'll meet you guys over there. And so he like drove across the street waiting for us to get over there. It's like he wanted to make sure we were actually going. So we went over there, and he brought out like a box of donuts, and we checked it out. It was an interesting place to say the least. Kind of like this enclosed area with almost like a movie set, I guess, with different buildings that were named different things, like, I don't know, dentist shop or whatever, general store. And those were rooms that you could stay in. So we looked in a couple of them, and they were just like empty rooms with like a mattress. And I decided I didn't want to stay there, and so did two of my other group members. So we informed, I guess he was the owner, that we wanted to at least like check out the other options. And so he like right away was like, oh no, like you don't want to go over to Weeville. It's a trailer park. People have had their stuff stolen. The showers don't work. You know, it was like the end of the world if we would go over to that place. And so I just, kind of said, well, we at least want to go look at it. So, if we don't like it, we'll be back. And he pretty much implied that we were not welcome back if we would go over there. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And, he was just almost like a politician trying to get us to stay there. So yeah, definitely rubbed me the wrong way, especially when he said we were not welcome back if we wanted to see what our options were. So we were like, all right, this is weird. So we got a ride to Weeville. They offer free rides. And I am happy with that decision because it wasn't so bad. We camped right next to the store, the Weeville Market, and the showers actually did work, but there were no towels. So if you are a hiker and want to stay at Weeville, make sure you have something, to wipe yourself off if you want to take a shower. So I didn't end up taking a shower. It wasn't really a big deal. I took a shower a couple days before that anyway. The market was great, and it was literally like right next to where we were camping. So that was really nice because I could just like pop in there really quick to get a snack or resupply or get an omelet. So the food was really good actually and made to order. It takes a little long, but it's fresh. So I got a pint of ice cream. My friends bought me a pint of ice cream and then like a Dove chocolate bar later in the day. So thank you, Stevie Wonder and Calzone, for my birthday treats. So yeah, our packs were not stolen. You know, that was so dramatic and I think a lie. So some people have a great experience at Hikertown, but I think it's if they agree to stay at Hikertown. If you don't agree to stay, then you might get treated badly. So just FYI there. I also heard from a hiker who did actually stay there. There was some like suggestive painting on the walls of some of the buildings. So like if you're a solo female hiker, maybe it might be uncomfortable to stay there. I'm just gonna say that. I don't think I would have been comfortable staying there myself. And I was in a group at that time. So anyway, interesting feud going on in near Hikertown, but there's a lot of trash talk on the Hikertown side, but on the Weeville side, there was absolutely nothing. So they were taking the high road, which I appreciate. So, but all in all, birthday was good. There was a storm that came in. There's supposed to be like hail and lightning, high winds. So some people were actually hiking out in that weather to the aqueduct and definitely didn't want to do that. So yeah, all in all, good birthday. Glad I stayed in my tent and went to Weeville. The next day, day 37, the storm passed and my friends and I hiked the aqueduct, which was pretty cool, the LA aqueduct. So usually it's really, really hot around the aqueduct at this time of year. So I think that was like, what day was that? Oh, it was May 20th, the day after my birthday. So we hiked the aqueduct and that's why a lot of people hike it at night. So I think that's why the group the night before went out, was because that's traditionally what people do. But it has been such a cold late spring in California, really unusual. So a lot of people like our group decided to hike in the day because it would actually be somewhat warm with the sun. But even still, it was pretty cold. But I'm glad we didn't get caught in the heat like most people do. So that was nice. So yeah, beautiful day, hiking the aqueduct, got some really great pictures and made it into camp. And then we were on a wind farm. So this will be like the wind farm saga for the next multiple days. Extremely like freezing cold wind. And once I set up my tent and got in, it got worse. And I thought my tent was gonna break. My tent was literally like bending in half and touching my face as I was in my sleeping bag. So I couldn't believe that. So yeah, kind of like waking up all night and worried about my tent. But I just figured, okay, if my tent falls apart, I'm just sleeping until the morning because I don't care anymore. But luckily, tent wasn't broken. So started hiking on day 39 pretty early just because I didn't get very good sleep and I was like, well, I might as well hike. So day 39 ended up being the worst day on the trail, even worse than back a few weeks ago. There was like freezing cold rain and I was wet and cold. So day 39, I hiked solo pretty much all day. I was alone. I didn't see pretty much anybody really. And the wind was like 50 miles an hour all day. So there was no break. So I hiked for like 8 hours in this horrible wind. It was freezing. I felt like my face was frozen. So I had to like cover it up and put some music on for the first time on trail just to get my mind off of what was going on. And I was like singing loudly and just trying to get in a good place in my mind. But I know my trail name is Cheer, but I was definitely not cheerful that day, so it's probably good I didn't see anybody. So the wind actually was so strong in so many places that I couldn't really take breaks much. And I had to plant my feet and my trekking poles and just stand there until gusts went by. So that was pretty challenging. And then at one point when I was climbing, it knocked me over. I literally fell over because of the wind. So, and I must not have had a good foothold either, but it knocked me down. So, also there was I was hiking in the clouds too. So it was windy and there was another ice cloud situation. So I couldn't really tell at certain points if it was dirt hitting my face and getting in my eyes or if it was ice. So needless to say, not the best day on trail. So it's funny to think back on now, but at the time it was not fun at all. So hiked in to Tehachapi and got a hitch by myself, which I've never done before, but within 2 minutes, the second car that went by picked me up and kind of read the situation, and the guy seemed very nice. He was picking up his son. So got in with him. He ended up being a veteran, so we talked about that and bought him dinner, and him and his son dinner and all of that. So good experience. But I think if you're hitching solo, it's good to kind of take a step back when somebody picks you up and make sure you're comfortable with it. And I think some people also, if they're riding or hitching solo, take a picture of the license plate. I didn't do that because I had a good vibe from this man, so that's another option. But anyway, yeah, so that ended up being great. He dropped me off in town and I ended up staying with some friends that night. And then the next couple of days I took zeros. So I'm just gonna sum them up all at once. So yeah, next 2 days I took zeros and I stayed. If you're in Tehachapi and you're a PCT hiker, stay with Brenda. She's really great. It was crowded, slept on the couch. Some people slept outside. So if you're not into that, okay, I'm going over this log. So if you're not into the crowded situation, maybe don't stay with her, but she was amazing. She drove us anywhere we wanted to go. Her daughter was great too. But yeah, so took some zeros, resupplied, did laundry, all that good stuff. And my shin splint had been bothering me more and more, so I did a lot of research on that. I'll go more into that later. Also, started researching the Sierra, so that was the big topic of the multiple zeros I took. That's what everybody was talking about, so I'll go over that too. But good zeros, I'm glad I took them. Not in a hurry to get to the Sierra at any point, because snow is still dumping even at the end of May. Ate a lot of food in town. Went to Baskin Robbins a couple times and went crazy. In the middle of the zeros that I took, so I ended up taking a total of 4 zeros, which bleeds into week 7. But the middle, I actually hiked out with Calzone and we had full packs. So we packed 7 days of food to get us to Kennedy Meadows. And also had a really big water carry. So this, out of Tehachapi, is one of the driest sections of the PCT. So we had a lot of water to carry and a lot of food. So we quickly decided, hiking from one road to the other, and both of the roads go back into Tehachapi, that we did not want to carry 7 days worth of food. It was too heavy. I think my pack was 50 pounds. and that's not okay. So I probably overdid it on the food too, but we decided that we didn't want to carry that much food. And there were a couple towns in between Tehachapi and Kennedy Meadows to resupply. So we called Brenda and she came to pick us up again. She was dropping people off anyway at the other side. So hiked 8 miles, went back, got rid of our food and took 2 more zeros because the weather was so bad. And again, we were not in a hurry to get to Kennedy Meadows because I'm not going into the Sierra right now. So anyway, yeah, took a couple zeros again, and I'll continue with that narrative next week in week 7. But really glad I took the zeros because I am somewhat injured and I felt so much better after. So that is week 6 overview. And later on, I'm going to be going over the Sierra discussion and then my issues with shin splints. Wanted to give a Wounded Warrior Project update. So for those of you who are just tuning in, part of the reason why I am hiking the Pacific Crest Trail is to help benefit the Wounded Warrior Project. And what this nonprofit does is help servicemen and women and veterans with multiple medical conditions, and also they help out with their families as well. So great organization. And I'm doing, I have a GoFundMe account that I set up, and all proceeds benefit the Wounded Warrior Project. So I'm doing this fun little thing where if you do donate on GoFundMe, if you like the content here and going over a log, have the means to donate, you can go on my GoFundMe and, well, let me backtrack for a second. The GoFundMe website, you can go on there and search Pacific Crest Trail hike for warriors, and then you'll see my picture, and that's where you can donate. So if you do choose to donate, you can put a little comment in. So what I'm doing is a little fun thing where in the comment, if you leave a inspirational quote that's not too long, I will recite it on here one time a week. So anyway, this week's is from Pamela. So thank you for donating, Pamela. Her quote is from Walt Disney that she chose. And it's, "Any dream can be reached if you have the courage to try." So great quote. I'm trying to live that right now on the trail. So thank you again for your donation. And if you are willing to donate in the future, that would be amazing. The Sierra discussion. So I am less than 100 miles from Kennedy Meadows, which is the start of the Sierra section of the PCT. Really exciting. Now starting to think about what to do about the Sierra. So just a little bit of background. This is a really high snow year in the Sierra and in California in general. And to top things off, these past couple weeks, so the end of May, more snow has been dumping in the Sierra. I think there was like straight 2 weeks of storms, and it might still even be going on now. It's May 29th today. So a lot of people are talking about, what are you gonna do? So I was at the Brenda's place in Tehachapi. She's a trail angel, and it's a pretty busy household. She lets anybody come and stay who's a hiker, PCT hiker, and that was what everybody was asking each other was, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because people who are going in now are doing something called a flip-flop. So I've been following a couple folks who went into the Sierra. Storms hit, they had to get out. Kind of a scary situation for them. And most of them decided to flip-flop. So flip-flop is when you're a northbound hiker, so you're hiking north, and then you decide to flip-flop and hike south. So either getting a hitch somewhere, hitchhiking north, and then hiking southbound. And there are like so many ways you can do that. So some people are going up to a place called Ashland, hiking south, and then they're probably going to hitch back up and then hike north again. So continue north just to give the Sierra a little bit of time to thaw out. And there's multiple places people are hitching to. Or you could do a full flip, which is going to the northern terminus and becoming a southbound hiker. So right now, I haven't heard a lot of people doing a full flip or deciding to do a full flip because southbounders don't usually start until mid-June or July. So there's a lot of time to wait, and so many people are on visas to do this, or they're taking some time off of work and they have to be back by a certain time, taking time off of school. So a lot of people are on a timeline, and that's why they would choose to flip, not do a full flip. So they can still make miles and still be safe about their hike. So for me, crossing a road here, dirt road, for me, I am telling people I'm not sure. I want to get to Kennedy Meadows and then make that final decision. But there's a couple things I need to consider. So first is skill set. I'm not a mountaineer. To go into the Sierra right now, you can't just be a thru hiker. You have to have the mountaineer skills. So going in with micro spikes and your poles to self-arrest isn't enough at this point because the snow is so intense. So would have to go in with crampons. Some people probably go in with snowshoes and an ice axe, which I do have an ice axe. Haven't used it yet. So I did a lot of research while I was in Tehachapi about mountaineering and just camping in the snow because I haven't really done that much. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with the idea of trying to go into the Sierra. Luckily, there are points where you can get out, especially for like food resupply, because you have to carry more food when you're hiking in snow. And you usually do like half the miles you normally do in snow. It really slows you down. So because of like post-holing, which means when you take a step in the snow, you fall through, to your ankle or your calf or your hip, depending on the snow. So anyway, it takes a lot longer to hike through snow, which I've experienced on like Fuller Ridge and in the San Jacinto Wilderness. So a lot of things to think about. I would probably so for me, let me backtrack here. I think there are two options for me. I have the luxury of not being on a timeline because I just fully quit my job and I don't have to go back. And I'm a US citizen. I don't have a visa, so I don't have to be back in my own country by a certain time. But yeah, so that being the case, I would probably take a couple weeks off to, oh my god, a bug just like flew in my eye. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I hope it's not still in there. So I don't have a timeline. So probably take a couple weeks off, especially to try and heal my shin splint, which I'm hoping is not a little stress fracture starting. So yeah, 2 factors: skill set, shin splint issue. So best case scenario, my shin splint is just a shin splint and it's not anything having to do with the bone. And I get enough skills to become a mountaineer in my little break and go into the Sierra. So that is option number 1, best case scenario. Option number 2 is for me doing a full flip, so becoming a southbound hiker and ending in the Sierra. I like that option because I love the Sierra. It would be pretty cool to end there, actually. I've been going there since I was little and it feels like home to me, so I'm not opposed to ending in the Sierra. And that would give, depending on my shin splint, if it is worse than I think, if it's a bone issue and I need to go to the doctor or get a boot and heal, that'll give me time to do that and I can start in July. So don't really like the idea of making things confusing by, flipping to this place, going south, hitchhiking to that place, going north. I think that's just, I want to keep it simple. So those are my 2 thoughts right now, but not going to make a final decision until I get to Kennedy Meadows and talk with more people, see how my leg is, etc. So I will keep you guys updated. The shin splint situation. So this week, part of the reason why I was okay with taking so many zeros is because I've had some pain, on and off before, to where I wasn't too worried about the pain because it was moving around, but on my right leg, I've had shin splint pain for more than a week. So that's when I start to get worried about it. So during my 0 days, I did a lot of research on shin splints. I had to deal with this in my dancing days before, where I would just wrap it and it would be fine. However, the pain on this particular shin splint that I'm experiencing now is on both sides of my, I think, tibia, and actually on the bone as well, which that's where it gets concerning. Because what I found out was, and there was actually a little bit of bruising on, right over where my bone is. So, after I researched, I realized that shin splints can also be an indicator of small fractures in the bone. Not that this is for sure what that is, but I want to be very careful about it. So I found out a lot of information actually for those future PCT hikers out there. I got KT tape to more specifically tape up where I need more support versus just wrapping it with an ace bandage. So I saw that they had a website on how to use the KT tape for your particular need. So went on, YouTube really, and their website, and they had a lot of information about different things, including shin splints. So got a lot of good information from the KT tape website and YouTube video. for those interested. But anyway, so what I'm doing now is, I want to get to Kennedy Meadows before I make a call on like going to the doctor. And after rest, and icing it every day, doing some exercises, and putting the KT tape on to just support it a little bit more on my off days. Feels so much better. I don't have pain today. I'm also changing some things about how I'm walking. So I'm trying to be very aware about how I walk. So I've noticed that my hip, my right hip, which is the same side as where I'm experiencing the Shin splint, is a little weak. So it kind of like bows in. I guess maybe I could show you. Bows in as I walk. So it's affecting, I think that might be the root cause of what's going on. So I'm trying to kind of like in yoga, how you square your hips and make sure your hips aren't twisted as you're doing certain poses. I'm really trying to make sure my hips are square as I'm walking. And I'm also taking smaller steps and placing my weight mid-foot versus on my heel. So far so good. I am a day after all of my zero, so this is the first day back, so it feels good now. Hopefully I can keep that going. But wanted to address kind of my first real, I guess, I don't want to say health scare or body scare, but it's something that I wanted to look into a lot more because the pain lasted a lot longer than it ever has before. And that's kind of when I draw the line, is at a week of pain. And it got to the point where I was limping, full on limping for hours at a time, and then it would get a lot better. So it was just kind of on and off, but when I woke up, I could really feel it. And once my body warmed up, it was okay some of the time, but then other times it was just kind of not excruciating, but it was painful. So I'd have to take Advil to kind of get through, and even sometimes that wouldn't mask the pain. So want to take care of that. I'll escalate it once I get to Kennedy Meadows, and that might be one of the deciding factors where if I decide to flip, maybe I'll take a month off to heal and go to the doctor and everything, but don't want to make that call yet. I'll know a lot more in the coming weeks, and that's not obviously my only deciding factor, but it is a big one, obviously, because if I'm injured, I don't want to make it worse. But so far so good today. I think I did a pretty good job of researching and doing all that I can to take care of it now so it doesn't get worse. Gear update for week 6. I just took a lunch break and put sunscreen on, so if I have white on my face, that's why. But yeah, so gear, it was a really windy week, so my gear was put to the test for sure. So especially my tent. I think I mentioned this in the overview, but one of the nights this week, I was sleeping in really, really high winds, and my tent like literally bent in half. And so it was like bending so much that it was touching my face at night. And like all the stuff that I stow in the top section of my tent like fell on my stomach in the middle of the night. So actually not in the middle of the night, right when I laid down. So that wasn't pleasant, but tent is still standing. There are no rips. A lot of people through that stretch did get rips in their tent and that sort of thing. So my Big Agnes Copper Spur UL1 thumbs up for that, for durability in the wind. And it's been pretty great in the rain too. And I'm not getting a lot of condensation in my tent as some other people are. So all in all, such a great purchase. Also, I'm loving my rain jacket. So my new rain jacket, which is the North Face one, is I've been wearing it every day. It's a good alternative to the puffy if I want to be warm but not too warm. Once I put the puffy on, it's like I'm sweating a lot of times. So I'm using it every single day. It was also really great in the wind, especially when I was like climbing. I would like undo the pit zips and I would still be somewhat comfortable. So yeah, really recommend the North Face jacket. And I'll also link it down below because I didn't link it when I purchased it from REI. So I'll put that link below this video. And that's pretty much it for this week. But I am starting to think about the Sierra. So assuming I go in soon, I need to get other gear, and I have already been thinking about some of the things. So I've ordered from REI, what did I order? Oh, waterproof socks, liners. What else? I ordered, oh my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank now. I ordered a Gossamer Gear sleeping pad. So I'm gonna have 2 sleeping pads. I'm gonna have the Gossamer Gear one. It's only $18 too, which is really good for lightweight gear. And this is Gossamer Gear, which is usually kind of somewhat expensive. So 18 bucks for that pad that I'm gonna be layering underneath my my blow up sleeping pad for extra warmth in the snow. What else did I order? I'm trying to think. I'm gonna be getting some more clothing, which I'll show you guys next in week 7, because I'll be getting to Kennedy Meadows, I think. So I'll show you what I am sending to myself, and then I'll show you what the rest of the stuff I ended up ordering too. Still thinking about footwear. So I would like to, not sure yet, but maybe wear waterproof boots in the Sierra if I go, and then also get crampons. But that remains to be seen. I might try wearing my Brooks trail runners and then wearing the waterproof socks underneath. That might be good enough. Maybe getting some waterproof gaiters too if I don't get boots. So a lot of different things I can do, but I think I need to decide to go into the Sierra first, and then I'll make my final purchases. Or I'll try, a week in the Sierra and then get into town and make purchases I need to make. So anyway, that is the gear update for week 6, and I will update you on week 7 soon.